Hello, everyone. Today we're going to explore something that sounds like a total contradiction: the paradox of power. We'll be looking closely at 1 Corinthians 2, verses 1 through 5, where St. Paul talks about a very specific focus: knowing nothing except Jesus Christ and Him crucified. It's a message that challenges our usual ideas of what it means to be influential or strong. Before we begin the study, let us read and reflect on the passage first. The Corinthian Dilemma: Status and Rhetoric. To really get what Paul was saying, we have to look at the world he was walking into. Corinth was a high-pressure city of commerce and social status. In that culture, people were obsessed with hyperoch, or lofty words, and superiority of speech. In Corinth, wisdom wasn't just about the truth, it was a performance, and the best philosophers were basically the rock stars of the age. Paul was stepping into a world that valued style over substance. The Athens lesson: when eloquence fails. Now, Paul actually tried to play the intellectual game once before in Athens, where he engaged in philosophical debate. But the result? He got some polite mockery and very few converts. He later described the experience as being like driving a car with flat tires. It was a wake-up call that worldly wisdom simply cannot carry the weights of God's testimony. The Great Resolve, Ekrina. Because of that lesson, Paul made a massive shift. He used a word, ekrina, which means he made a strategic, volitional decision to narrow his focus. He decided, I'm not going to try to be the smartest guy in the room. Instead, he resolved to know nothing among them except Jesus Christ and Him crucified. His goal wasn't to offer a flashy new philosophy, but to provide a demonstration of power. The scandal of the cross. Now, we have to remember how shocking this was. To the Greeks, the cross was foolishness. It looked like a failed leader who had been executed by the state. In Roman society, the cross was so socially detested that it was actually illegal to crucify a Roman citizen. But this is the heart of the paradox. God chooses the weak thing to shame the wise. The weak messenger. Paul didn't show up with a fake-it-till-you-make-it attitude. He was honest about his own state, describing it as being in weakness and in fear and in much trembling. He understood a profound truth: that vulnerability is what allows God's power to actually work through us. There's a beautiful thought here. Dying in the pulpit is a sine qua non, an essential condition of new life in the pew. Not persuasion, but demonstration. Paul's approach wasn't about winning an argument, it was about apodexis, which means proof or demonstration. This wasn't just words, it was external, through signs and transformation, and internal, through what he called the fire of love and the conviction of the Spirit. For Paul, the Word of God isn't just a lecture, it is a sacramental event. The foundation of faith. So why does this matter for us? It's about our foundation. If our faith is built on human wisdom, it's fragile and doomed to pass away, much like a sandcastle in the tide. But the goal is for our faith to rest in the power of God. That kind of faith is rock solid, stable, and eternal. Salt of the earth. This brings us to our role in the world as the salt of the earth. Salt does three things. It preserves from corruption, it brings out flavor or joy, and, let's be honest, it stings, conviction. But there's a warning. If salt loses its taste, it's useless. For us, distinctiveness is survival. We have to stay true to the message of the cross to remain effective. The mind of Christ. Finally, we aim to have the mind of Christ. This is the mark of the spiritual man, Homo spiritualis, who learns to judge all things through the lens of the cross. This isn't about having secret knowledge, but about carrying a divine light that we have to nurture through the sacraments. When we see the world through the cross, everything changes. Thank you.